Welcome to the Quip Corner with Ada. Actually, welcome to the Quip and Convo segment of the Quip Corner with Ada. Today, I have the pleasure of having my friend with me in the Quip Corner because, well, just because. You'll see her bio right after this. So please join us in the Quip Corner. See you in a bit. Welcome back to the Quip and Convo segment of the Quip Corner with Ada. Chinyere.
Thank you so much, Ada, for having me. It's always a pleasure to be here.
Yes, it is always a pleasure to spend time with you. We have fun each time we do that.
True.
So this year, I decided to do something different. I usually talk when it's Mother's Day, but I thought it would be nice to have the perspective of another mother as we celebrate Mother's Day this year.
Happy to share my thoughts.
So we'll be talking about a quip that I have shared on before, but I'd really, like you said, love to hear your thoughts. It's Quip 77. Quip 77. You would think, okay. Quip 77 in my second book, which says, good mothers know how to mold their children without smothering them. I'll just read it one more time. Good mothers know how to mold their children without smothering them.
That's profound, Ada. And well, all your quips and quotes, I find them really deep and insightful. And this is one of them. When I think about this particular quip, I realize that the difference between mothering and smothering is just an S. And that speaks volume because in my mind, there's a thin line between both. And one has to be careful about, walking that thin line. And the reference you made to molding, think about playing with clay, molding clay, or plasticine. And the fact that you are always careful, depending on what you want to mold, because if you press too hard, if you squeeze too hard, you can destroy the clay or plasticine or whatever it is that you're molding. And that's the same thing with children. If you squeeze it a little bit too hard, then you may spoil the outcome. So when I think about smothering versus mothering the children, it means that we have to be careful how we navigate, what approach we adopt to bring up our children. We want to bring them upright, and we have to be sure that we are doing right by them, in molding them, in shaping them, and determining the outcome, whatever outcome that will be. And that is child specific. So every child will come out, will turn out differently. Every child, sometimes you mold in a different fashion, depending on the personality of the child, depending on where the child is depending on the stage or the age of the child. So different techniques, different ways of approaching that child will be important when you think about mothering them. And then, when we think of smothering our children, sometimes, or a lot of times, for those who smother, it's not usually intentional. So as mothers, we have to be intentional so that we don't have unintended consequences. We have to be intentional about how we deal with our children and how we engage with them.
Okay, I noticed you slipped in a quip there. Being intentional so that we don't have unintended consequences. Oh, wow. It's nice to see how I'm rubbing off on you.
Absolutely, Ada. when you put that quip in the next book, please reference me.
Okay, so that would be part of your claim to fame, even though you have written several books yourself, right?
Well,
You know, the thing about mothering is there are books and books and books about mothering. And then there's the mothering by learned experience.
mhm.
And I remember mommy and talking about your mom, of course, because, you didn't have the opportunity of meeting mine. But I remember mommy and various instructions and various directives and all, you know, she put into or poured into not just your life, but even into my life, after we became friends. And so I am curious how much of what mommy did or taught you, or I don't know whether I'll say osmosis. Well, with your background, you know what osmosis is. How much of that shows up in your mothering?
Well, the truth is a lot of it. When we were children and our mothers would correct us or will reprimand us one thing or the other, often we thought, so goodness, this woman is so wicked, this woman is terrible. It took our growing up and having our children to realize that a lot of those things made sense.
Yeah.
My mom, I think she was very intentional about how she wanted to handle us.
Okay.
She was clear in her mind what outcome she wanted.
Yeah.
When we will cry and scream and moan and throw a tantrum, not that it didn't matter to her, but she was very careful in sticking to the plan or her plan on how she wanted to shape us up. And that paid off at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So taking that to my approach to my children, I am clear in my mind what I want. But I also realize that we're in a different age, different times. And so some of the things my mom did in her own time, I will moderate it for my time and my children's time, because we can't like copy and paste. You have to edit. You have to copy, edit, and before you paste, and be sure that you're pasting right.
Yes.
So for me, I can still see that some of the traits that my mother had, being intentional, being resolute about what you wanted to achieve, what you wanted them to do, sticking to it, not shifting just because they don't think it's right or because culture doesn't think. I mean, just stick to it.
Yeah.
There are so many things when my children were growing up that perhaps some people will think you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that, you shouldn't spank the child, you shouldn't, scream at the child, all those things. I'm quite firm about disciplining my children. I discipline them when they go wrong, and I make no apologies for that. So in a sense, I can see a lot of the traits from my mom,
Yeah.
which I learned. I learned the hard way, of course,
Yeah.
which at the time I was learning, I didn't know I was learning. And I knew that I had learned
Yeah.
because now I'm able to deploy that learning into the lives
Yes.
of children. But yeah, it comes across. And
Mhm.
the idea is you don't want to spoil the child, you don't want to smother the child.
Yeah.
Institutions where there's this, rather than make all the decisions for them, you let them make decisions so that
Yeah.
they're not overly dependent on you.
Mhm.
Teach them how to spend money.
Yeah.
You don't give them everything at once so that they don't feel like, now the world is full of abundance, I can do anything. So they understand, being able to manage funds. They understand the importance of working hard,
Yeah.
applying themselves
Yeah.
to things. I remember one of my daughters, after school, I kind of said, look, you have to learn something, you have to learn the handiwork. And I put her in a salon to learn how to braid hair. At the beginning, it seemed like it was a difficult thing to do. She didn't want to go on her own. She didn't like to play. She didn't like all of those things. But I said, no, you have to learn. You do it and you do it well. Today she's in uni and she sometimes makes a bit of money by braiding hair.
Wow.
So, if at that time, when she had all those complaints about
Yeah.
what of the salon did or said, I could have just withdrawn her and said that that's my child not to go through all of this. So I stopped it. I didn't want to smother her. I wanted her to be able to learn something. That was my intention. I wanted her to be able to be dependent. That was my intention. I knew she had to go walk through a path to be able to get there.
Wow, Chinyere, that is really interesting. You know, how you talk about being resolute and being clear on the intention. And thank you for that example of learning how to do something with your hands, because out here, there's so many people who are making great money from things they do with their hands. In fact, the gig economy, you know, which is something people do on the side, is something that could actually evolve from this example you shared.
True, absolutely. And that's what the young ones are occupying themselves with now. But you just need to be sure that your children have the right entry into that space, and that they're doing the right things. Because whatever shows up in the world today, there's always a tendency to abuse it. So you just want to be sure that your children are shaped right to take advantage of the benefits in there.
So that's coming back, full circle, back to the molding.
Absolutely.
Molding. Wow. Well, thank you for sharing your perspective on that, Quip.
Thanks, Ada, for the opportunity. I mean, I like I said always, your quips are insightful and they kind of generate a lot of discussions, and we can take this quip and look at it from different perspectives. You can look at it from the professional perspective about what your children are going to become eventually. You can look at it from the spiritual perspective. You can look at it from different perspectives. And it's important for us as mothers to be sure that we are allowing our children to grow, to blossom, to be who they are supposed to be. There are several cases of children who want to maybe study something and the parents say, no, you must study A or B. And they spend time studying what their parents want them to study. Now, that's not molding, that's really smothering. Because at the end of the day, that child is not authentic in that space. Okay, there's several stories of children after they have studied one particular thing, and then they say, okay, now I've done what Daddy wants me to do. Now let me go and start my life.
Yes.
So there are several ways. We just need to be sure that we're parenting right. So we're not smothering them, either smothering them to mimic our life or things that haven't really worked out in our life, try to make them, you know, emulate that path. Or we're not hindering them, you know, we're not creating handicaps for them in life, in their life.
Oh, in fact, we will need to discuss this again, because a couple of the things you said, you know, bring to mind another quip I have about parents not trying to force their children to live their unlived dreams. To your point, there are sometimes when, okay, let's not start a new video. You'll need to come back to the Quip Corner for us to discuss that in more depth.
Yeah, I'm always happy to be here. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
You're welcome. Thank you too.
And happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day to you. May you remain a happy mother. May we all remain happy mothers in Jesus' name.
Absolutely.
Amen. See, my just because worked out well, wouldn't you say? It was lovely spending time with Chinyere as always and gleaning from her wisdom around mothering versus smothering and molding as we mother. Some of us may wonder, plasticine? What was she talking about? Plasticine, Play-Doh, same thing. Clay, most of us know. She's got a point. If you press too hard, you could damage it. And if you don't press hard enough, you may not get what you want. Well, I guess we'll all stay tuned and look forward to when we have the part 2 discussing a different quip. So stay tuned. If you haven't already done so, hit that subscribe button and click the bell beside it, and you'll get notified each time I release a new video. For now, I join my friend again to wish you a happy Mother's Day. My prayer for every mother is that you remain a happy mother all the days of your life, and your children will outlive you. Considering you're going to have a long and satisfying life, their lives will even be longer. Jesus. Bye now. Before I start a prayer service, enjoy your day.